The first time I slipped into that hotel room with him, my whole body was on fire. The air was thick with heat and urgency, and the moment his lips crashed into mine, every ounce of reason I had left dissolved into nothing. His hands pressed against the small of my back, pulling me closer, while the rain outside beat hard against the windows. It was reckless. It was dangerous. It was wrong. But it was also intoxicating. I could feel my heart racing faster than it ever had in my life. And in that moment, with his breath hot against my neck and my wedding ring glinting under the dim light, I knew there was no going back. Before I take you deeper into this story, I want to pause for a moment and thank you for being here. To all of you who have subscribed to this channel, I cannot thank you enough. Your support is the fuel and energy that keeps this channel alive. And to all the new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, I cannot wait for you to hit that button, because your engagement means everything. Please share your thoughts in the comments as the story unfolds. I want to know what you think, and how you would have reacted if you were in my shoes. Now, let me tell you who I am and how this all began. My name is Melissa, and I am a 32-year-old woman from Virginia, USA. I have been married for 6 years to a man named Brian. He is kind, dependable, and hardworking. He is the sort of man every parent would pray their daughter ends up with. He makes dinner when I am too tired. He rubs my shoulders after a long day. He folds laundry without being asked. He has always been good to me in ways that matter. But as I am about to confess, being good was not enough to keep me satisfied. Before Brian, there was Tyler. My ex. The man who ruined me and built me at the same time. Tyler was my college love. The man who made me feel alive, dangerous, unstoppable. Our relationship had been nothing short of explosive. We loved hard, we fought harder, and the passion between us was the kind that burned everything in its path. We broke up because we could not stop hurting each other. He cheated once, I cried too many times, and eventually, I told myself I deserved better. That was when Brian came into my life. Brian was safety. Brian was stability. Brian was everything Tyler was not. And after years of chaos, I thought safety was exactly what I needed. I thought love meant calm mornings, steady dinners, and quiet nights watching television together. I thought passion was dangerous, and peace was the prize. But passion has claws. I ran into Tyler again last year at a business networking event. I never expected to see him. My heart slammed against my chest the second I spotted him across the room, still handsome, still confident, still carrying himself with that dangerous smirk that used to drive me wild. He locked eyes with me, and just like that, my world tilted. It was as if no time had passed at all. We spoke casually at first. Polite. Careful. I introduced him to a couple of colleagues, pretending I was fine, pretending my pulse was not racing. He told me about his career in real estate, his new projects, his success. I nodded and smiled, but inside, I was trembling. I felt my wedding ring heavy on my finger, like it was warning me. That night, I went home to Brian. I kissed him on the cheek, I asked about his day, and I curled up in bed beside him. But when I closed my eyes, it was not Brian's face I saw. It was Tyler's. The way he leaned against the bar, the way his voice dipped low when he told me it was good to see me. I hated myself for it. And yet, I could not stop replaying it. A week later, Tyler found me. He sent me a message on LinkedIn first. Simple. Direct. It was good seeing you again. Drinks sometime? I should have ignored it. I should have deleted it and moved on. But the truth? My fingers hovered over my keyboard, and my heart screamed louder than my head. I replied. The first time we met for drinks, I told myself it was innocent. Just catching up with an old friend. But the way he looked at me over his glass, the way his eyes lingered, I knew there was nothing innocent about it. My body reacted before my mind could. By the end of the night, when he leaned in close and whispered that he missed me, I felt something in me unravel. 2 weeks later, I found myself in that hotel room with him. The same man I had sworn to myself I would never go back to. The same man who had broken me once. The same man who now had me betraying the only person who had ever loved me without question. I told myself it would be one time. A mistake. A slip. But the truth is, I was lying to myself. Because the second his hands were on me again, the second I felt the familiar fire in my veins, I knew one time would never be enough. The next morning, I put my wedding ring back on and drove home in silence. Brian was in the kitchen making pancakes, smiling as if nothing in our world was wrong. He kissed me on the forehead, poured me a cup of coffee, and told me he loved me. And all I could think about was Tyler's hands, Tyler's lips, Tyler's voice saying my name. That was the beginning. The start of a double life I never thought I would live. And the truth is, I did not feel guilty. Not then. Not even now. The days after that first night with Tyler blurred into a haze of lies, stolen moments, and an obsession I could not control. I woke up every morning beside Brian, smiling at him as if nothing was wrong, while my phone buzzed silently on the nightstand with messages from Tyler. He never wrote long paragraphs. Just a few words that made my body ache with anticipation. I need you again. Lunch today? I cannot stop thinking about last night. And each time I found myself folding into his requests, as if his words held a leash around my body and my will. At home, I played the role of the dutiful wife. I cooked dinners, laughed at Brian's jokes, and pretended to care about his work stories. I folded laundry beside him, I helped him clean the garage, I held his hand at the grocery store. To the world, we looked picture perfect, a stable married couple with no cracks in the surface. But inside, I was unraveling. My body belonged to two men. My heart was at war. And my lies multiplied until I could not tell where the truth ended and the fiction began. Tyler and I met in hotels, in his car late at night, even once in his office when the risk of being caught sent adrenaline surging through me. Each time, I promised myself it would be the last. Each time, I lied to myself all over again. The thing about Tyler was that he made me feel alive. With him, I was not a wife. I was not responsible. I was not tied down by the weight of expectations. With him, I was fire. I was hunger. I was dangerous. He awakened the part of me that had been asleep since the day I said I do. But with Brian, life was calm. Predictable. Safe. He loved me with a tenderness that should have been enough, but every time he kissed me goodnight, I felt like I was being suffocated by my own guilt and yet craving more of my secret. I started telling lies that rolled off my tongue too easily. I have to work late. I am meeting Sarah for dinner. The gym is running extra classes this week. Lies became the bridge between two lives, and I crossed that bridge daily without hesitation. But the deeper I sank into this affair, the more Tyler started pushing for more. He would hold me against him after, brushing my hair back from my face, and whisper, "Leave him. You know you belong with me." At first, I laughed it off. I told him he was insane, that I could never do that my life with Brian was too secure to throw away. But in the silence of my car rides home, I let the thought linger. What if? What if I did leave? What if I chose passion over security? What if I allowed myself to burn, even if it meant burning everything to the ground? The guilt that should have eaten me alive never came. I should have hated myself for betraying Brian. I should have cried myself to sleep. But I did not. The truth is, I did not feel guilty at all. If anything, I felt addicted. Addicted to the danger. Addicted to the rush. Addicted to the way Tyler looked at me as if I was the only woman in the world. Still, I underestimated Brian. I thought I was clever enough to hide the cracks. But he started noticing the little things. The way I came home later than usual. The way I checked my phone more often, turning the screen away from him. The way I seemed distant even when I was sitting right beside him. One night, as we sat at the dinner table, He studied me in silence while I picked at my food. His eyes were heavy, searching. When I asked him why he was looking at me like that, he shook his head and said, "You are not here. You are somewhere else." I laughed it off, made a joke, and changed the subject. But inside, I panicked. Because he was right. The first real crack came when he found a receipt in my purse. It was from a hotel. Not a fancy dinner. Not a business expense. A hotel. He asked me about it casually, almost too casually, as if he was testing me. My mind scrambled, and I told him it was from a conference. He did not argue. He just nodded slowly, his eyes dark and unreadable. That night, I could not sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Brian breathed steadily beside me. The receipt had been a mistake. A careless one. And if I was not more careful, everything would come crashing down. Still, the next day, I went right back to Tyler. Because no matter how much I risked, no matter how close I came to being caught, the truth was simple, I could not stop. I was married. But I could not stop sleeping with my ex. And every time I told myself it would be the last, I found myself in his arms again, begging for more. And deep down, I knew the walls were closing in. The walls finally caved in on a cold Thursday evening. I had just come back from another meeting with Tyler. My hair smelled faintly of his cologne, and though I tried to scrub it away in the car with perfume and mints, there was always a trace left behind, something invisible that clung to me like a guilty shadow. Brian was sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in. He was not eating, not reading, not watching television. Just sitting there, his phone in front of him, his face pale and tight with an expression I had never seen before. "Where were you?" he asked. His voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that made the hairs on my arms rise. I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could, he turned the phone around. On the screen was a string of text messages. Mine. Words I had sent to Tyler. Messages I thought I had deleted. Messages that made my stomach twist and my skin go cold. "I need you now. That was the best night we have ever had. I cannot stop thinking about your hands on me." The room spun. For the first time in months, I felt something close to guilt. But it was not guilt for what I had done, it was guilt for being caught. Brian's hands trembled as he placed the phone back down. "How long?" His voice cracked like broken glass. I could have lied. I could have softened it. But I did not. My eyes locked on his, and the words fell from my lips like daggers. Months. Maybe longer. His face crumpled, pain tearing through him like a storm. He stood up, backed away as if I had physically struck him, and pressed his hands to his head. "I gave you everything," he whispered. "I gave you my life. And you," he could not finish. His voice broke completely. The silence between us was heavy, suffocating. I expected myself to collapse in tears, to beg for forgiveness, to fall at his feet. But I did not. Instead, I stood there with a strange defiance, my heart pounding, my breath shallow. I could not stop myself from saying it. "I do not feel guilty." His eyes snapped to mine, filled with disbelief and devastation. He looked at me as though I was a stranger. "You are not the woman I married." He was right. I was not. The woman he married had been content with safety, with calm mornings and quiet nights. But that woman had been buried the second I let Tyler back into my life. The days that followed were a blur of anger, tears, and slammed doors. Brian could not even look at me without his hands shaking. He packed a suitcase for me and told me to leave. There was no screaming, no begging, no chance for redemption. Just a firm, broken command, "Get out." So I left. I went to Tyler, thinking I had made the choice to be with him fully now. But reality is cruel. Tyler welcomed me at first, yes, but it did not take long before the cracks showed. He liked me best in secret, when the affair was wrapped in danger and stolen moments. Out in the open, with me staying over, with my clothes in his closet, the thrill faded. The fire that once burned between us began to cool. One night, just weeks after I had destroyed my marriage, Tyler told me flatly, "This is not working. We had fun, but we are not meant for forever." The word stung, but deep down, I already knew. I was never going to be his forever. I was just his addiction. Just as he was mine. And addictions burn out. So I ended up alone. I lost Brian, the man who had loved me more than anyone ever could. I lost the safety of my home, the warmth of his arms, the life we had built together. And Tyler? He was never mine to keep. He was only ever mine to borrow in the shadows. Now, when I walk past that suburban street where Brian and I once lived, I feel the weight of everything I destroyed pressing down on me. I thought I could live in two worlds. I thought I could balance passion and security. I thought I could cheat the system of love and loyalty. But in the end, I lost both. And the cruelest part of all? Even after everything, I cannot bring myself to regret the fire. I regret the ashes it left behind, but not the flames that consumed me. Because I am married, but I could not stop sleeping with my ex. And that is the truth that will haunt me forever.